Good morning, everyone. It's Agnes here, and so many of you emailed me and wrote comments in the thread about the visioning YouTube that I did a few days ago. Now, if you haven't seen that one, can I suggest you go back and watch that first, because this is going to be a continuation. I'll put the link down below for the first one. So continuing on from the same book, The Game of Life and How to Play It, from Florence Scovel Shinn. I'm reading and continuing on page 87. And she says, if a student tries to force a demonstration through the reasoning mind, he brings it to a standstill. He should act only through intuition or definite leads. Rest in the Lord and wait patiently. Trust also in him, and he will bring it to pass. I have seen the law work in the most astonishing manner. For example, a student stated that it was necessary for her to have $100 by the following day. It was a debt of vital importance which had to be met. I spoke the word, declaring spirit was never too late and that the supply was at hand. That evening she phoned me of a miracle. She said that a thought had come to her. There's the visioning, the download, to go to her safety deposit box at the bank to examine some papers. She looked over the papers, and at the bottom of the box was a new $100 bill. She was astounded, and she said she knew she had never put it there, for she had gone through the papers many times. So, the fields are ripe with the harvest. It will manifest immediately. Now, I won't read a lot of the religious stuff because there's a lot of this threaded through, and that's totally fine. You can have a look at that yourselves. So, I'm going to give you some more examples in how visioning worked for me. I'm going to give you 3 more examples. Now, the first one, I know many of you have already heard my manifesting a car story from years ago. It was one of my first big manifestations. I'll put the link down below to that. But in that story, I didn't talk about that when I was sitting in meditation, asking for any signs or anything to come to me, I was clearly getting the symbol of the BMW. Now, in those days, I wasn't in a wealthy consciousness. So therefore, I had thought I'd love the car like that, or I'd love that particular car, but I'll have to get that later. And I had 3 cars at that time that I wanted to manifest. I got it down to 3 that I liked. So I'm sitting in meditation asking for any information, anything to come to me to help me, and I kept seeing the BMW symbol. So I thought, okay, but I honestly had no concept from where my head was at that time, because I was still feeling quite poor, that I could manifest this car at this time. So that had come to me. Now, the rest of the story is in the other YouTube, so I won't go into it in detail, but I did attract a car coming to me through my boss, who wanted to sell his car, and I didn't know at the time what car he had, and it happened to be a silver 318i BMW. So I won't go into that story. The link's down below for that. But that was a case of sitting, asking for information to reveal itself to me, and it came in this time in a picture, in a symbol of the BMW symbol that's on the car. So that was a great birds before land, as I've talked about before. I'll put that down below as well. Seeing things before they come. So that was out of my realm of expectancy at that time, and it was such a powerful, simple, short vision, the symbol, a picture of what was coming. So, and that helped me to, well, start to accept that it was possible, even though at that stage I had no ability to even really think that that was possible at that time. And I was really thinking the other two cars first. So, number 2 example. A friend of mine, the one that I meditate with regularly when I'm in Sydney, she kept asking for messages for me. At the end, we would ask for messages for each other. And it's easier sometimes to do so because you're not so attached. So she kept seeing me standing on a lotus. And we would laugh because it was such a weird thing. And I don't know when it came to me. It was not long after, but I was struggling with something to do with relationships and struggling to understand what was going on. And we meditated quite a few times together, and she kept saying to me, I keep seeing this same image. You're standing on a lotus. Now, finally, it came to me what that meant. And it was, I was standing on the lotus. The lotus was under me, and it was understanding. So again, a really interesting message to help me with what was going on. I became clear about understanding what I needed to do and how to break free of the struggle I was having in relationships. So it was about getting more knowledge and then applying it and having more understanding. So that was a lovely message too. The third one, this is a bit of a quirky one. We were again meditating together, and there was a series of paintings that my friend was doing. She's an artist and she was an art teacher. And it became this thing about what was the next idea, what was the next series she was going to do. And I had this strong message for her about this war poem. Now, in these days, when we were meditating, you couldn't just get on Google and look stuff up. Okay, you still had to go to the library. You still had to, research in the old ways. And the libraries were the way that we did it. So we both had bits and pieces of this poem, and it was the poem In Flanders Fields, Where Poppies Grow. Now, her paintings became about poppies. And the poem was a really important part of what was going to be developed in this series of art. So I'm sitting in meditation. I said, is there any messages for her? Something that would help. Anyway, I get this really lightning fast, and this time it was a sentence. Ring the RSL. Now, RSL is in Australia are Returned Servicemen's League, which is where the men that have come back from war, it's like they're everywhere, and it's where the men can go, and other people can go there too, and you can have a drink and you can eat, and it's very well priced, but it's a place where people gather. So I had this lightning fast message, call the RSL and ask. And I'm thinking, this is going to be really weird. Anyway, I opened my eyes. I told my friend. And we had this moment of, okay. And I said, I'm ringing them now. And she reminded me of this recently because I'd totally forgotten that I had rung. But I did. Apparently, after that meditation, I picked up the phone and I rang the local RSL. And I said to the guy that answered the phone, I don't know if you can help me, but I need the words of the poem In Flanders Fields Where Poppies Grow. And he answered me this, no problem, get a pen. And I sat down and wrote down what he said. He had the entire poem in his head. And I said, thank you very much. And I hung up, and then I looked at my friend and we started laughing because it was such a random question. And the person that picked up the phone knew exactly what I was talking about. So that poem then went into the background of all her paintings. And that was very successful for her. And it was such an interesting just chain of events. Okay? So sharing these things with you, it can be the most obscure, random, weird, interesting, and fascinating messages you can get about any subject. So if you're struggling today with any topic, whether it be money, whether it be work, whether it be relationships, whether it be should I travel, whether it be a health condition, whether it be something in someone else's life and you love them and you would like to help them out, practice visioning and be open to how it comes. With the car, it was a symbol. With me, for this last story about the painting art series, it was ring this place. And the person that answered the phone knew what I was talking about. I mean, the person could have said, no idea what you're talking about. So, and then also the standing on the lotus, which was message for me to know that I was starting to get more understanding. So try it. Let me know how you go. And I will also be doing today, I have recorded for you a visioning meditation, and I will upload it to the meditation channel today. It is a voice only because I don't want you to get distracted with music. You are to be totally in the silence so that you can hear uninterrupted messages, pictures, words, feeling, however it comes to you. And Florence talks about this, leads and hunches. And I will do some more YouTubes about what Florence says about that, because these are like leads and hunches. It's the download. All right? So, lots of love. Hope you find that interesting so that you can actually start to practice it and get your own wonderful messages and just really enjoy this is like a treasure hunt. It's fun. Okay? Lots of love. And I'll see you as always in the next YouTube.